So it'll go
Oh,
out.
wow.
It'll go out in 14 minutes. We should be hot now. Let me double check.
All right.
Oh,
Is the start time supposed to be 11? Well, that's 11 my time, but 11 or 11:30.
Supposed to
well,
be.
I normally set it for 11:30, but YouTube I didn't set it. Twitch, I'm not. I'm getting an error when trying to load Twitch. Let me
Hmm.
try with Firefox. Yeah, Twitch is failing.
Too
I don't
many
know if
people streaming.
it's. I don't know. YouTube's streaming. When then of course Restream sees it. But I don't know why not Twitch isn't. Maybe there's just a problem between Twitch and Restream.
says it says it's live. Nintendo Dads is live on Twitch.
Yeah, but the video doesn't load. I have the video download was canceled. Please try again. Error 1000.
Yeah, when I go open it. Yeah. Interesting. Good times.
Let me see what.
See what that is. It's media playback aborted error. Are you on Chrome, Jesse?
It failed on both Chrome and Firefox for me.
Says update Google Chrome. If anyone's watching you with outdated Chrome, they'll see 1000 playback error.
As far as I know, I'm current.
Interesting.
Yep, I'm current.
Wow.
So I'll just blame Twitch. Seeing Twitch problems.
Okay.
99 problems and Twitch is one.
Twitch is all of them. Yeah, Antonio says he's got the same problem. So, but at least we're good. We're good with YouTube.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 272, recorded live on March 19th, 2020. On tonight's episode, we're going to talk about the Indie World Showcase. We're going to hit some other fine points, and we're going to talk about some responses that you've had to what's going on in our world today. Jesse, cue that music. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Marty here, and it's episode 272 of Nintendo Dads, and it's March 19th, 2020. Joining me tonight on the show, Jesse Waldack. How's it going, buddy?
This has been the weirdest week. Yeah, I've been on so many phone calls with regular work and just emergency work. I felt I've gotten no real work done all week. It's kind of frustrating because I want to do stuff, but I'm just sitting there on the phone all day. But at least
one of the weirdest weeks ever.
But at least I have a job still that is, through this, whatever this is. Because I know a lot of people are unable to work due to no fault of their own.
That's right. Always look for the silver lining. Speaking of silver lining, Tim Off, how's it going?
Doing good, considering with kids being cooped up and trying to figure out what to do for them, being in Michigan. Excuse me, I mean Minnesota.
Yeah, right.
Just having a good old time trying to, oh my gosh, there's a green orb behind Justin. What the heck is going on?
Yep, Justin shows up.
Look who decided to show up.
The party. But we're right in the middle introduction here, Justin. So why don't you tell everybody that you're doing okay?
We
You can't hear
you
us.
talking.
Can you hear us? Hello,
Can you hear us?
Justin.
He
Hi,
probably can't hear
Justin.
us. He doesn't even know he started.
Hey, we'll get to him here in just a minute. Guys, it's definitely been one heck of a weird week in everybody's life. There's nobody's life that this week has not touched at all. And we're going to attempt in the next little bit here on this podcast, take your mind off that for a little bit and talk about some cool Nintendo stuff that happened this week, as well as some other stuff going on in and around the world of video games. And so as Justin adjusts his video screen there, why don't we get right to the news, shall we?
One moment. There we go.
And our news is brought to us this week by you guys, and every week actually, by you guys over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. And we want to take just a minute right here to talk about something that we're doing with our Patreon over the next couple of months. If you are already a patron, then you should have gotten an email about this, and there's a post about it on our Patreon site that you can go read. But due to all that's going on in the world right now, we are suspending Patreon collection for the next 2 months. So in April and May, you can continue to be a patron of Nintendo Dads and also eat chips very loudly on the podcast. You can continue to be a patron of the show and pay nothing. And we understand that for dollar patrons, that may not be a big deal, but we also have a good number of high dollar patrons as well, 10, 15, and $30 patrons. And so, guys, it's our way of saying we're all in this together. We want you to not have any kind of hardship at all. What that does is it does not kick you off our Patreon or off of our Patreon. What it simply does is it allows you to enjoy the benefits of being a Nintendo Dads patron for free.
For free?
For free. There he is.
For free? That's
For free.
crazy.
Well, it is a little crazy, but you know what? We're a little crazy. And times
Almost
are
like it
crazy.
sounds like we're doing a podcast for the first time.
Is it that bad?
It's just all over the place.
It kind of does.
Crazy.
But, hey, listen.
Fair enough.
here's
I'm
the
sorry.
deal.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I thought we started at 9:30, not 9. I must have missed that memo. Marty, so let me ask you this then. If I was a listener to this, and first and foremost, Marty's 100% correct about the impact this entire week has. And although $1 may seem like a very small amount to you, we just know that people are in a situation where it's tough. So we 100% support the idea of suspending it as well. A couple things I want to say here. If you are a fan of Nintendo Dads, you may be starting to put this piece together saying, well, hold on a second. Then could I join the Patreon for 100% for free for the next several months or boost up my tier for free? Yeah, it's exactly what it means. 100%.
At least a 6-week trial, or
For at least a 8-week, 2-month tryout. So if you've been on the fence about Patreon, about maybe what happens to the Nintendo Dad Patreon, you don't fully understand it, but you've been interested, now is definitely time to jump in there, see what that experience is like. But as Marty mentioned before, whatever tier you're at, you will continue to get the exact same level of support and benefits of those tiers, regardless of the 2-month kind of hold on funds. This community, this is put together because of people like you, like a listener every single day. We have been blessed by the support the community has given us. And this is just a very small way of recognizing that times are tough, times are challenging, and let's just take away some of that pressure from you as quickly as we can and make sure that is nice and easy. Now, I know that some people in the community will say, but hold on a second, I still love you guys. You guys still do awesome work. How can I still support you? Can I still support you? First and foremost, not necessary, but we 100% do appreciate that. If that is something that you are still like itching to do, you're like, no, I want to support. If you want to support, you can head over to something like Twitch and subscribe there. Again, there's no money out of your pocket. You have a subscription. If it's so important to you, that's something you do. If you have Amazon Prime, you get Twitch Prime. You can use a sub there. Costs you no money. If it's one of those things, because we know that we have over 100 Patreon supporters that'll be asking a question. Someone will be asking that question that's important to you, you can do that. But we are not taking any Patreon money for the next at least 2 months in this time.
And if you're not a Twitch user but a YouTube user, there's the super chat function as well.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different functionalities as well if it's so super important to you. But again, we are not saying you do that. It is truly up to you. What we are doing is we are suspending though Patreon until life maybe finds a new way of being normalized.
Yeah, I think we've agreed on through the end of May, and then around mid-May we'll decide on what we're going to do with June.
Yeah, we'll make another decision then.
Yeah, and we will communicate
just like,
that to all of our subscribers.
Just like every other decision in the rest of the world, we'll see what happens.
Yep, exactly. And we will definitely communicate that to every single one of our subscribers as well, long before we begin reactivating Patreon. So everyone is fully aware of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that explanation, Justin. Really good stuff. And I think it would be a great time to say that we appreciate each and every one of our patrons. We appreciate everyone who follows us on social media. We appreciate everyone who's watched a YouTube video or been with us any amount of time. You guys are why we do this. And we appreciate you guys so much. This is a tough time for everybody involved, no matter what. A lot of uncertainty. But that's why we want to exist during this time. And we want to make ourselves as accessible as possible to alleviate some of that stress and anxiety and whatever.
This show will still be a train wreck. 9 times out of 10, this will continue to be a train wreck of nonsense and chaos. And we hope that for that 90 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, perhaps it's 3 hours, because we can't just determine how time works.
It's because
that's probably why most of the people still listen.
Yeah, and we had 5 more guests, right? But because of you, whatever value you find in this, right? Hopefully this is a spot for rest for you, an opportunity to just, Zach used to say it's a little corner of the internet, right? Nintendo Dads is a little corner of the internet, and this little corner over 5 years has grown, and I'm just so thankful for it. We've talked about it before, just the amount of support that everyone provides to everyone in the community. We have seen so much people in our Discord having conversations about homeschooling now with kids, or dealing with challenges, or how do we support each other, and that community has grown. And again, whether it's Patreon, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all the stuff that we do, the emails we get, those touch points. This is your family. This is your home. And we're appreciative of that. Make sure that you're taking care of your family and your home currently. We're still going to be here, and we always will be as well. But mind yourself, take care of yourself, and we love you. God bless you. That's the end of our show. Good night, folks.
Bye.
That's it, right?
In episode 272. No, we do have things to talk about. So let's talk about the Indie World Direct.
Please understand.
Nintendo.
Do you like my backdrop, by the way?
I love your backdrop.
Thank you.
I
got a green screen today.
I like that green screen thing.
I love your backdrop. Nintendo chooses a really odd time to finally drop a Direct. Right in the middle of a pandemic. But we get the Indie World Showcase this past, was that Tuesday? Yep, the 17th. That was Tuesday.
17th.
St. Patrick's Day. And it included the announcement of 1, 2, 3, 10, 20 games.
Yeah. The date was the birth of Irish the Hedgehog. I don't know if you saw that, but that was hilarious.
Oh, unfortunately, I saw that.
Definitely
so guys,
saw
just
that.
around the
That was
horn
awesome.
here, what I thought we would do is, instead of breaking down every game, because that would take forever and nobody wants to hear that, I just thought we'd talk about what did we think about this presentation. I didn't get to watch it until later in the afternoon, but I finally did get to sit through it. There were some definite standouts for me, as you can imagine, knowing the history of games that I've promoted on this podcast. But I am not going to talk about that yet. And so, Tim, Justin's shoving chips in his mouth. So we're going to start with you first. What did you think about this?
Swallow quick.
About this whole thing.
Well, I got the opportunity to watch it with Justin and on Twitch and do a live reaction of it. And my first reaction was I was actually overwhelmed for me because there was a lot of content. I was like, ooh, that looks cool. Ooh, that looks cool. I'm interested in that. And where am I going to get the money to buy all these indie games, and all that kind of stuff. So to me, I was overwhelmed by how many games stood out for me that I'm actually looking forward to.
Yeah, 100%, Tim. Marty's on mute. 100%, Tim.
Marty?
Lots of games.
Sorry. I was up getting a glass of water, but yeah, I mean,
I didn't talk enough apparently.
no, that's fine. I wasn't quick enough. Tons of games that were announced in this Indie World Direct that I was really into as well. And I'll talk about those here in a little bit. Jesse, what about you? Your thoughts and feelings on the whole presentation as a whole?
Overall, it definitely was informative. We saw new things, which is what we wanted to see. As of what is there anything here that I care about? I would say very little. I don't even remember what half of this stuff is. I think.
Jesse, I do have the list open. Do you want me to read it really quickly?
Well, I'm looking at the list. I just don't remember what the games were.
Okay.
Like I think Baldo was, one that interested me, and I'm thinking Summer and Mara might have been one, and The Good Life, or like the three games. If I remember thinking that might interested me, I might have interest in.
Did
Maybe
anyone else
Dicey Dungeons as well.
Did anyone else get the distinct impression that Blue Fire took a lot away from Hat in Time?
I didn't play Hat in Time enough to be able to make that context.
I have no idea.
When it first came on, being the first game, me and my son are watching it, and we immediately thought, this is made by the people who made Hat in Time. Like the same type of movement patterns and stuff, going on, and little, dash, jump, that, in the air, and all kinds of, a lot of stuff. Oh no, I haven't seen him play too much of a Hat in Time, but it, like, immediately I went, that looks, that's real familiar.
See, I'm not familiar with that game, so I didn't even think of that.
Okay. Justin, what about you? What did you think
Sorry
about
to
this?
interrupt, but to go back to the presentation part that you were mentioning, how did I think about the overall presentation? I actually liked how they presented all the games because it was very succinct. It was very, it was just like you didn't have to go from the video to the narrators or those two people that usually talk. It was just them talking and narrating without having to, go from the video. There was no breakup. It was just, here's a game. They did have some points where the developers were speaking, and I thought that was pretty cool. But it was just like, okay, here's the game, here's the developer. In some cases, they did their little speech, they showed the game, then it went on to the next one, then it went on to the next one.
I did think that flow actually works better than tossing it back to a host who feels like they have to fill time or have to hype up what's, set up what's coming next. It was just boom, 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 boom. And
yeah, the pacing was really spot on, I thought.
I just wonder if the pacing or the presentation has something to do with everything that's going on, like the way they put this together. Even were they not able to, have people in the studio or whatever? I don't know. Yeah. Justin, what about you? Did you enjoy the direct? What did you think about it?
Yeah, I thought it was good overall. I think to Tim's point, I thought the pacing was well, right? Like they revealed a fair chunk of games relatively quickly. I think, again, what they do very well with the Nindies, and even actually with their directs, I'd argue as well, is there's always something for someone, right? Like if you don't like this game, wait 90 seconds. There's going to be another game, and it might be for you. Do you know what I mean? They do that really, really quite well. A couple ones that really kind of stood out to me, and I've got the list ahead of me. I'm not gonna name them all, but I'm just gonna name the ones that stood out to me. The first one that really caught my attention, and this actually just on the way the list here is The Last Campfire by Hello Games. Now, this was really interesting, and the reason I found this interesting, and Tim, I mentioned this to you, I think, on the stream, was that the announcer said, The Last Campfire from Hello Games, the creators of No Man's Sky. And I thought that was really interesting because No Man's Sky is not a Nintendo Switch game. But to announce it on a Nintendo Switch stream and call reference to it, when we know in the past Nintendo has very much been like almost not really pretending or knowing what other companies or other developers or other systems do. That one caught me a little bit off guard. I wouldn't be shocked if sometime in 2020, we see No Man's Sky come to the Switch. I have no foundation to say that's true, but it feels like something that could happen there. The other thing I thought was very interesting, and before I move on to the other games that caught my attention, a lot of exclusive on, first on,
Yes.
right? So
like
that
the first,
or timed exclusive, right? There was a lot of language.
Like the first 6 games were all timed exclusives.
Yeah, a lot of language around that as well. I think I find those very interesting, right? Because it's basically who shows up to the table, right, with the most amount of money or the most connections, or maybe where the developer wants to go or the publisher wants to go to make that kind of first on agreement. You know, this is a great example. So one of the things like to reference this, Creature in the Well came to the Nintendo Switch in September. That is only coming to Sony or Xbox, I believe, later this month. So like 6-month waiting period, right? We're going to see these first on and timed exclusives more and more as the consoles and the developers continue to kind of bolster, right, their libraries. And you know, hey, we've got our Halos, we've got our Marios, we've got our Ratchet and Clanks, but we've also got exclusivity on these other indies or other third parties that we want you to come to. So I think this was one of those things where Nintendo was really maybe coming to the table really for the very first time that we've actually auditorily really heard it, where it's first on, exclusively on, timed exclusive, right? So I thought that was very, very interesting.
I want to circle back around to the No Man's Sky thing for just a second before we get too far out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that that's one of those titles like Watch Dogs that maybe it's too late for it to be on Switch?
It could be. It's tough to say, right? Like Hello Games, you know, when No Man's Sky came out, I mean, if you're a video game kind of connoisseur or know the industry, that had a very hard start, right? Yeah. It stumbled and it took about 2 years to really find its footing. But the understanding of it is now the amount of time, energy, and patches that Hello Games put into that game. And there isn't a lot of success stories of a game comes out of the gate, really falls hard, and a developer spends the time, energy, and resources to make it appropriate, to make it fixable, and to really get to a spot where it really needed to be off of the bat. But Hello Games did that, right? And I think that very much so. If you talk to someone nowadays, No Man's Sky is the promise that they had 5 years ago when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in a state now where I think, and probably if you're a developer, right, who spent a bunch of time putting money and energy into that game, right, you're probably at a lost leader currently. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're spending so much time and resources to patch that you had your workforce somewhere else. You want to try and make back that money as quick as possible, because there were some negative reviews, people didn't pick it up, that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see it actually come to the Switch in its current state. Now, whether it's, you know, is it going to sell gangbusters? Maybe, I don't know. People may pick it up. I don't know. Tough to say. But at least they're trying to get some of their money back, right? You know, again, if I diversify and put on more platforms, more people can buy it, more revenue coming in. Therefore, I can probably maybe cut my losses that may have occurred around it as well.
Plus, they could sell it as maybe like No Man's Sky Definitive Edition. Yep. And then all of a sudden there's renewed or hyped up interest in it as well.
And that may have been part of the agreement that that Hello Games ended up coming to when you talk about The Last Campfire, right? That may have been sure, we'll make you a deal. We'll be first on the Nintendo Switch. We'll take the exclusive, whatever, with you. However, we'd like to bring No Man's Sky to you also. Can we do that? And will you allow it? Right? Will you work with us to partner to get it there? Will you help our resourcing? So there may have been negotiations. Again, we don't know those things. I'm only spitballing from just a business perspective that interests me. Tim, I see your hand up in the back. Yes, Timothy Alf. Question, sir.
Yes, I wanted to say that I would like to look at a different perspective of it, that not necessarily that No Man's Sky would come to the Switch, although it would be nice, especially with one of my new favorite things that I posted about earlier, which is the ability to play on the PC and then cross save or cross play between the PC and the Nintendo Switch. I think a lot of people would really like that. And I don't remember if No Man's Sky is on the PC or not, but if they do, if that is one game that they eventually will bring to the PC, if it's not there already, that could be a selling point that could come to the Switch. But the other aspect I wanted to look at was that what you brought up was not necessarily that it's coming to the Switch, but what they did was so well known that it did fall flat, and then they worked so hard to bring it back up that maybe Nintendo was even impressed and said, yeah, we'll take, we would like to get your game on ours first, or exclusive or whatever the case may be. And also too, I think a lot as we move forward in this day and age where there's a lot of data used, where more and more companies are using data for customer experience, they could be looking at it as, yes, we know that we're not the only system that most gamers use. If you're a hardcore gamer, hardcore gamer with quotes, or someone who plays a lot of games, and you're really into it as a hobby, Nintendo Switch is not going to be your only place to play, because you want to play those other games on other systems, and No Man's Sky is another game on another system that people are familiar with, especially with all that media around it that says, okay, yeah, they made this, they got to a good point with it, and they're bringing a game specifically for the Switch. So yeah, I would bring up that name.
Yeah, absolutely, right. So I think there's definitely some components there, and I think again, I'm only hypothesizing, right? I think I remember during this stream, Tim, I was like, wait, did they just say that? And I was like, yes. That's interesting. Couple of things that caught my attention. Blue Fire, I thought that was interesting. That was when they started with that kind of like looked like Dark Toon Link, essentially. I thought that was a very interesting precision based platformer. The other ones that caught my mind, Quantum League. This was that kind of 1v1 or 2v2 time warp kind of game that has this time loop around it, where you team up with others, with your past and future self. So that one kind of looks interesting. I've seen some gameplay of that. I don't know the tail of that, whether that's super engaging and again, I think it's very much an online infrastructure you require there. Moving Out, we've talked about Moving Out, I think, before. Looks like an Overcooked game. I've got the demo download, I think came out this week as well. That caught my attention. I thought the very other interesting that I thought was the other interesting one that I thought was Blair Witch. Now, I'm not interested in Blair Witch. I don't like horror games, but I thought that was a very interesting coming to Switch title. So I thought that was really, really fascinating. The game.
Did you see Adam's response to your post?
No, I didn't. That? What was it?
He said that it's such a great game that you should play it on a console on a big TV.
Okay, interesting.
Is this? I'll take one. Go ahead, Jesse. I'm sorry.
Is this a port of what was out in PS4 a few years ago?
Yeah, came out last year.
No, not a few years ago. It was the most recent game that came out for systems.
I thought it was 2018, but I could be wrong.
I think on PS4 and Xbox when it came out there, a lot of people really liked it. So I'll tell you one that I was really surprised about. I'm like Justin, I love The Last Campfire. It looks amazing. But I am really interested in Wingspan, which was shown off in the sizzle reel at the end, because a lot of you who listen know that I play a ton of board games. Wingspan's been one of my favorite board games over the last year, it's a board game about bird watching, which sounds really boring, but if you think about it, it's something that we probably haven't seen a lot of before, and this just looks like a really cool adaptation of it. I've loved Carcassonne, and on the Switch, I've loved playing it, and I think that it's a perfect platform for board games. So I say bring them on. I was totally into that game. And also one that I haven't heard anybody mention yet, Bark looked really fun. Dogs flying spaceships in a shooter. Yes, please.
How do you go wrong with that?
Right.
I when you mentioned, what did I like about the presentation, there was 9 games, I think, total that I liked on there, and I figured I'd wait to mention them all. But A few of those that you guys mentioned were the ones that I liked too, but the one that did stand out to me as well that Justin mentioned was the last campfire. Just the art on that was mind blowing to me. Just how well the lighting was for that.
At times, Tim, I got feelings of like Ori.
Yes.
Meets Pode, for anyone who remember who played Pode, with a touch of Journey.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like it felt like that kind of like all blended up
good
together.
combination there.
Justin, I was watching it, and as soon as I saw Moving Out, I thought of you and Jody. As much time as you've put into Overcooked.
The interesting part, the good folks, the wonderful folks that have Team 17 and SMG who developed that, they reached out to us about 2 months ago actually about that game, and they're like, "Hey, we've got a Steam early access code. Do you want it?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't typically get Steam," but I was like, "I do now." So I downloaded Steam, and we've got that going, and we've got the demo preloaded. Yeah, we're super excited for that one. So
it looks really cool. Of
the
course.
The other one that actually caught my attention that I thought was very interesting, speaking of Journey, is Sky, Children of the Light. And it's actually from the creator of Journey.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and if you, and I'm on the website right now, beautiful screenshots, beautiful art style. This definitely looks like, this definitely caught my attention as well.
Cool. And of course, I think for me, the most exciting part of the whole thing was the one more thing at the end when they shadow dropped Exit the Gungeon with no warning. Here's the deal. I had already played Exit the Gungeon on Apple Arcade, right? I never played it with a controller. I played it with touchscreen controls, and it was terrible. It was not at all good. And so I was not coming into this with a very favorable opinion of Exit the Gungeon because it is very, very different than Enter the Gungeon. But Justin managed to get us a code for it and served it up, and we've got a YouTube video up right now, which, by the way, let me apologize for the YouTube video because I recorded it without realizing that the audio on the game was all the way, was up way further than the mic. And so you can't hear a word I'm saying. And it's just garbage. But
I've had videos like that before.
I didn't have time to re-record it, and so it's out there. If you want to see what the gameplay is like, imagine Enter the Gungeon with randomized weapons that change every 10 seconds or so based on how well you're doing in the game, and it's 2D, and you can jump. It's
somebody in our community didn't like the 10-second weapon change.
Yeah, I think that was Drew.
It was Drew.
It was Drew or Zablock. I can't remember. I don't know.
It was Drew.
I don't know why I don't just call him John, but he's
someone wanted to call him Zablock, but it was Drew.
Later on in the day, he asked, have I mentioned that I didn't like the 10-second thing? And I replied that maybe he should say it every 10 seconds.
See, try the game every 10 seconds, see if it changes.
No, complain about it every 10 seconds.
It's really cool. I was super excited about it. I've spent some time with it over the last couple of days, and it's grown on me now. But I'm just telling you, if you're out there and you like to Enter the Gungeon, it's very different. It's very different. But I don't know, there wasn't any other shadow drop, was there? I think there was one that came out after that, but it wasn't like
Skyrocket was mentioned in the montage. That was also dropped yesterday.
Oh yeah, later today,
Tuesday.
So that's out now too. This one was a little light on shadow drops, unlike other indie directs. Any theories on why that might be?
2 sounded like a normal number to me.
And I thought that maybe the one where they did Into the Breach, they had like 3.
I think we typically run about 2 to 3, Marty. I think the 2 was appropriate. I think it was fine. I don't like the indie directs. Sometimes they're like real bangers. Do you know what I mean? Like you're coming off it like you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe all that happened. I thought this was like a good 6 or 7. Do you know what I mean? I think the thing that I was saying to Tim too is I was like, what I would love to see is a couple of those dates a little bit closer as opposed to summer. That felt like summer. You're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, I
Summer.
think one game was in
Right?
April, like 3 or 4 were springs, but the majority of them were summer or later.
Yeah. So and then they do that kind of like quick sizzle reel, and you're like, okay, like moving out is the end of April. You're like, okay. What I would have really loved to see for a sizzle reel, and again, we're not bashing it, but here's what I would have loved to see. There are a bunch of other games hanging out there that we still don't have some release dates on, right? I'd love to see a little bit more firmed up of that. Like, again, I keep coming back to it, but like Super Meat Boy Forever. Do we have any
I don't think Nintendo's ever gone back and recovered something they've already talked about in the past. Not that I'm saying I don't agree with you, but they've only ever introduced new games, but never come back and talked about like updated release timing.
That's true.
I think they should too.
I'm not saying they have to like a almost kind of like a where are they now? Do you know what I mean? Like they don't necessarily need to do one of those, but I think a quick sizzle reel of these games that we have heard before, seen before.
Yeah.
Like here's a quick snapshot, and it's like there's a date at the end. Next one.
Yeah, it's part of the sizzle reel, but like at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, that's exactly it. Just at the end, and it's like here, 6 or 7 games that you've heard of before that we've covered somewhere else, so we've given a spotlight to, a little bit of focus to, and here it is. Boom, boom, boom. This one's May. May 23rd, 2020. Boom, boom. This is April 16th, 2020. Just a quick like, oh, there they are, because we don't really hear about them until all of a sudden they pop off into like, oh, they've showed up in the eShop, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that, right? Or you see a tweet. I would just love for Nintendo to, and again, Jesse, I know you have this like running doc, and there's probably like there are 800 indie games that they probably listed over the last 3 years, but like a little bit of a just like closing that loop. So if some of these games are coming up in the next 3 months, right, that you actually have a date for, because this because you're part of the not the development team, but like the public relations, the communications, the eShop development, right, all that part. Like you're scheduling tweets, these things, right? Or whatever it is, that you can start putting pieces together. And even if it's not like a definitive date, but you could say May, June, whatever. It's a little, I don't know. Again, I don't want to be super whiny, but I'd love to kind of know, like, where are we?
We've known about Meat Boy for about 2 years now, and it's still TV.
Oh my God.
It was year one. I mean, it was 2017.
I played it at EGX 2017, and I sat down and talked to Tommy about that game. I have an interview. It's on our YouTube channel where I played it tabletop mode in the press room with him and recorded it on my iPhone. Like, that was nearly 2.5 years ago. God bless him. I love the games, but like, what is going on with that thing?
I have no clue. Another thing that this brings up with Exit the Gungeon coming out on Switch is that it shows us that early exclusivity for Apple Arcade is ending for some games. Yep. And so, Jesse, that means we're going to probably see the new Shantae game soon.
Finally.
That also means that Inmost, which is a game I've been watching for a long while, we're probably going to see. There were other games that were the initial round of Apple Arcade when it launched. I think it was somewhere around 30 games. What the Golf and others that have been advertised for Switch.
Yeah, Inmost is still just flagged as 2020.
Yeah, I think we'll start seeing those very soon. I don't think they're going to stack up all at once because Apple Arcade likes to release like a new game or two every week. So it'll be interesting to see when all of those finally make their way over. I'm personally waiting for Inmost and Shantae on the Switch because that's how I want to play them. That's how I want to experience those games. I don't want to play them on an iPad with a controller. So if you guys had to give this direct a letter grade, A, B, C, D, or F, what would you give it?
C for me. It was just kind of, it was like the normal type of direct for me. New information, but very little that I really care about.
Okay.
So I would give it, for me personally, I would give it a B based on the games that I'm interested in and we'll look at and keep an eye on. But overall, I think the presentation was an A.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Justin?
I'd give it like a B minus.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like when I first thought what grade I would give it, I would say B minus. It wasn't like A plus. It blew my mind. I'm still thinking about it today, but it was B minus. There's some solid games coming. There's some stuff I don't care about as well, but like what I care about was showcased well. I do think the presentation flow worked better than it ever has.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see them keep that format.
Yeah, I think that's probably why I gave it the A, because of the presentation and what they were doing, and it was very, the pacing was great for me, and just yeah, I didn't probably want to play every single game or want to buy every single game, but that's why I felt like I had to give 2 grades, just because overall I think yes they should stick with this format. But as far as games that I want, I probably give it a B, like I said.
Yeah, it was funny. I was trying to think about because they always do this indie direct right around GDC. And I believe this would have been the week for GDC, if memory serves me correctly. Last year when they did this, they opened up with Cuphead, and they finished with Cadence of Hyrule.
Wasn't the one where they did Cuphead also? Did they not announce Ori in that one as well?
No, Ori was later.
Okay, Ori was later. That's a super strong showing there.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying every session has to be like that. That to me was like an A plus. Do you know what I mean? Out of nowhere, something I didn't expect. For me, the one game that I was really fingers crossed was hoping for in this one was actually Outer Wilds.
Yes. Outer
Wilds, because Worlds is the right. Yeah, Outer Wilds. I thought that would have been a very interesting one as well. But that's just me from an indie perspective. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people reacted to this as well, and so I want to read a few comments from people who are watching and listening with us. These are from Twitter. @an aging punk says my interest level in any of them is almost certainly dependent on price, but The Last Campfire, Bark, Quantum League, and Blair Witch all intrigued me. @Highly Angaro says Blue Fire and Last Campfire look interesting to me. At Brian Jedi 82 said meh. Onyxus_music said moving out because of Overcooked, Blair Witch. I love horror games. Summer in Mara, I got a Wind Waker feel, and The Last Campfire reminded me of the Ori art direction, are the ones that really nabbed my attention. No sign of Silk Song though, which is the Hollow Knight sequel. Yeah. I'm patient. Overall good. @Scruffy Wookie says, he left an Office meme. So there you go. On the Discord, Messmaker says that was a good direct, quite a few interesting, good-looking games. And the ones that caught my attention the most were Baldo, Summer and Mara, Quantum League, Last Campfire. Frosticles 43 says Baldo and Summer and Mara. Glad to finally get release windows for those. JC Sorrell says woof. That's what I say to that direct, and I'm not talking about the one flying dog game. Zablanc says wasn't in love with.
Is that a good thing or
I don't think so. I think he did not like it. Zablanc says wasn't in love with that direct. Personally, some decent looking games, especially Last Campfire, but most of the other indie shows had something that really grabbed me. All good. I enjoy them, and Exit the Gungeon Shadow Drop is cool. Blockfort says, I'm on the same boat. Seemed a little lackluster. Can't put my finger on it. Docat87 says, I quite enjoyed it and would love Samus as a playable character in Exit the Gungeon. And then finally, Totally Colin says, Exit the Gungeon looks fun. I'll wait until it goes on sale one day or just play it on Apple Arcade with the free trial. Everything else just looked like more of the same from indie devs. Looks like a lot of trying to recreate experiences which already exist in many other games. Although Moving Out did look cool. That direct just made me more and more thankful that Animal Crossing is releasing this week. And by the way, as we're saying that, we are 7 minutes away as time of recording from digital unlock for Animal Crossing here in the United States. Super excited about that one.
Is that why we started half an hour early and nobody told me?
No. We started half an hour early because we were just all here and ready, and there wasn't much to talk about in the pre-show, and sorry about that.
That's all right. I was just like, fair enough, guys. Whatever.
Yeah, we actually had show notes ready before 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Instead of writing them up
Totally
right at
unlike
10.
it.
I hear
Guys,
your sarcasm.
let's talk just a little bit about some other maybe non-Nintendo news. And I think this is pertinent because it was huge. The PS5 specs were revealed this week for PlayStation 5 in what could possibly go down as the oddest console reveal press conference in history ever. They put a guy on stage and let him talk about all the fun technical guts of the of the PlayStation 5. And honestly, I'm a PlayStation fan, like moderately, like I'm okay with them. But did this not to anybody else feel like a huge jab at people who have been demanding PS5 specs
Well,
to anyone else, or is it just me?
The thing about
No,
this
I'm
is
with you.
Sony did this completely wrong. They shouldn't have advertised it the way they did. They made it sound like it was going to be a big announcement for public consumption. This show was not for public consumption.
No.
This was just designed for a GDC content, meaning it's not definitely not for the end users, not even
I'm
for
with
the
you.
press. They're for the developers.
And back to Justin's
Marty.
point earlier that this is supposedly supposed to be GDC week. Of course, it got canceled. Maybe this was something that was supposed to go on there, and they just
Oh, it
did the
definitely
digital
was. He opened with this was supposed to be talked about at GDC.
Oh, okay. See, I haven't watched it because I heard it was not good.
Marty,
Yeah.
I'm with you on it though. Where I was joking when I was watching it with another channel, the Trophy Room, the PS Trophy Room. I was joking with him saying that I wonder if this is a jab, like you said, Marty, like all this demand for information for the PlayStation 5 that people on the internet and the Twitter sphere or Twitterverse been demanding. And Sony's like, oh, okay, you want some information? Here you go.
Yeah, people were calling it a
Right.
press conference, and I'm telling them, no, this is not
Yeah.
for the media. This is a lecture.
Yeah. And
Literally,
guys,
that's what it was.
here's the deal. We can't even hope to break this stuff down for you. If it's something that you want to be interested in or that you want to find out about, I mean, you can go look at it.
Well, I
Here's-
can give some like high level bullet points, but I'm not going to go deep into it.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us a couple of things.
But basically, they're having a custom built SSD, which has a higher output than normal SSDs, and then the rest of the system's data flow is also custom to match it. So the plus side is virtually no load times, and they talked about, like Spider-Man had 400 copies of a mailbox for faster loading time. But now, because seek time really eats up time, in loading time, if you know how hard drives work. But in an SSD, you can just have one copy for the entire game, and it will load it just as fast. It'll reduce patching times because the files don't have to be modified before you run them. That's what the 20-minute install time is when you get a 10 gig patch of a PS4 game. So again, it's basically defragmenting itself in real time, so it doesn't. So there's no seeking during gameplay. So a lot of things to make things faster during game time, which also then means it's a custom hard drive. You can't just buy a 2 terabyte model off from Micro Center and throw it into your PS5 like I did with my PS4.
This kind of reminds me of the Sony memory stick for Sony digital cameras.
Kind of. Well, even the PSP and Vita. But
Yeah.
but he said there will be upgrades available, but they're going to be pricey.
Yeah, Seagate is the company they're
Of
working
course
with
they
now.
are. They're proprietary media.
And-
Of course
Yeah,
it's going to be pricey.
Seagate is
And
their
then-
company that they're working with, and then they're
due
going
to
to open
the-
it up later.
I think there's normally like 8 channels
Are you guys
doing
hearing me okay?
communication. Yeah, I can hear
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
you. Okay. There's no. I think they said there's normally 8 channels going on, but there's up to 12. But because of that, they had to change the capacity to match a certain threshold. So it's something like an 865 gig have the number here somewhere. So it's not even a terabyte, and so that's going to be kind of restrictive at first,
Yeah.
or actually probably more so later on, because
Yeah.
when these games will get to be 200 gigs if you want 4K, 8K textures to them. Anyway, it will support external hard drives, but because of the slower speed, because it's using USB, they recommend like PS4 games played through backward compatibility be run through them. Get them off the SSD to save them for the games that need it. Though you still can,
And
then it'll
speaking of
definitely
backwards
benefit.
compatibility, when they talked about that, I think it was just for PS4. Is that right? No PS3?
Well, they didn't say it wasn't. They just said that, like they compared, like, PS3 had backward compatibility with PS2 because there was literally a PS2 hardware inside, two separate systems in one box. They didn't want to do that here, so the CPU and the GPU have backward compatibility modes at the hardware level. So basically, they probably will like never want to remove them because that's just more expensive to redesign new ones. So the PS5 can run in 3 modes: native mode for PS5 games, Pro Legacy mode for PS4 Pro mode, and PS4 Legacy mode for PS4.
Right.
Some games don't have Pro functionality, so you wouldn't need the Pro power.
Mm.
And games that if you're only running 1080p, you don't need Pro power. Like, you don't need to tell it to generate the Pro textures. So I think that's what the difference between the two are.
Okay.
But if you're running 4K and you want the Pro textures and you have the capacity in your hard drive, that's available to you on the games that support
I think it's worth noting that as soon as all these specs came out, it was immediately obvious in a chart that I saw that specs wise, the PS5 looks to be less powerful than the Xbox Series X.
If you do the math, they did the calculations based on their gigahertz and cores and whatnot, and it's something like 10 teraflops. But again, as we all say, who cares?
Right.
We just want the game to be fun to play. So at the technical level, the Xbox Series X has more power, raw power, than the PS5. But with what PS5 is doing with memory transfer speeds, it may be a wash. We don't know.
Yeah.
We won't know yet until we have games in our hands.
Well, last generation, the Xbox was, if I remember correctly, the Xbox One was still a little bit more powerful than the PS4. So, but PS4 still did better.
They were
Power doesn't mean everything.
infinitesimally more
Right.
powerful. They were, the original boxes at launch were almost identical.
And the fact that Microsoft has already come out and basically said there's no console exclusives for the first year of Series X, and or PlayStation has been kind of silent on that as well. I don't think we'll see any of the it'll be longer before we see the true power of the system, right?
Yes, I would say yes, because once they get to native specific games, then they'll start using the power more efficiently. But, basically, I think it sounds like both sides for the first year, any games that come out will be available for both. So it'll be a PS4 mode and a PS5 mode, which will have the higher textures, take advantage of the PS5 hardware, but obviously isn't required.
Right.
And then Xbox One and Xbox Series X will be something very similar in their version of it.
Right. Speaking of systems, Jesse, you've got some updates on the Intellivision Amico.
Oh, yeah. At the same time of the indie showcase, Intellivision put out a 3-minute video, and I kind of poked on them saying that's not a good time to do that. It was kind of basically a 2.5-minute montage reel of its own showing the games that are coming for it. Not all of them even have titles shown, so like if you know them from the original games, then you know them. If you don't, then you still don't know what they are. Like, I remember seeing a Night Stalker and a Shark and a few of the other games, and then there were also new games in there too, like something called Safecracker, because some of the names were shown because I splashed the title screen. But at the end, so over 20 games shown of like modern takes on old classic games and new games, and at the very end there was it stated that VIP pre-orders will start March 31st. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's, I was part of the Founders Edition pre-order. My guess is this is a pre-order for a different model, probably. Hopefully it's not the wood grained, and it may not have all the extra add-ons, but
Sure.
we'll find out more about that at the end of March.
Yeah. One little thing, one last little blurb here we want to mention. 12 finalists for the 2020 induction into the World Video Game Hall of Fame have been revealed this week. These games, again, very varied and different.
Very
categories.
varied, yes.
They're very varied. Bejeweled, Centipede, Frogger, GoldenEye 007, Guitar Hero, King's Quest, Minecraft, NBA Jam, Nokia Snake, Super Smash Brothers Melee, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, and Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Y'all probably know where I'm going with this. The best one out of these is Nokia Snake. Right?
No, it's not.
I mean, come on, guys.
Well, the reason why that's on the list is because they're saying it kind of was the grandfather of what we know as mobile gaming. But
Okay,
really,
I'll give it that.
Snake. That's,
Yeah.
I know. So I originally, I think it might have been Skinny Matt, in the Mega Dad's Discord posted the link. So I decided to steal it
And
and
here's
share
the
it.
deal. Like, out of all of this, we know that Justin still plays Nokia Snake. Right?
We do?
Yeah.
No, I don't play Nokia Snake. I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, like, what was your highest score on Nokia Snake?
Good 1800, but what would happen is like right at the end, it would turn and done. Done. You know what I'm saying?
1800.
As soon as you get that personal best, you get the phone call.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
It's tough.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
But still,
So
look, I had the Nokia survive the nuclear winter phone, right? I remember playing Snake on that bad boy with my customizable faceplate.
I've never owned one.
Well, you haven't lived.
I think I'm okay with that.
Well, guys, that's our news for this week. Let's segue into a little bit of discussion, shall we? So I want to start with this question. Is GameStop essential? Now, don't answer that yet. The reason I'm asking that question is this, is GameStop seems to think so because it was circulated wildly and widely tonight as before we went to record that managers at GameStop stores today were sent a notice from corporate to ignore local law enforcement if they were told to close due to the coronavirus, stating that they are an essential store and to have managers give the law enforcement corporate's contact information. It's like literally like hand them a copy of this letter.
Yep.
Guys, gonna go out on a limb here. Are they serious?
They seem to think so.
Yeah, like this is this is GameStop, right?
Yes.
So EB Games, which is the sister company in Canada, Electronic Boutique, they issued a statement actually today that I'm pretty sure they are shutting down their doors or adjusting their hours, and that like tomorrow for pickup for Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal, they're only letting people who have pre-orders come into the store and grab that copy and then go. Here's the thing: video game shops are not essential.
That's right.
Like gas stations, grocery stores, hospitals,
Justin, I need my gaming. I need my
Yeah.
games so I
I-
can, lock myself in the
and
house.
maybe
with
it's
my
the
games.
fear of the internet trolls. Do you know what I mean? Like nothing is more painful than a 13-year-old with a keyboard. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
let's be honest, it is not essential. Okay, let's give
Yeah.
our heads. There are much more.
I completely agree. From their point of view, they're thinking that they're offering a service to help the mental sanity of the people who are self quarantining and
Exactly.
social distancing
Well, what
in
they
their homes.
Exactly.
they're talking about the fact that they sell monitors and keyboards and mice and all kinds of other stuff, and I'm like, I haven't seen any of that in my GameStop in years.
Neither have I.
So can I throw another perspective out here just real
Sure.
quick? And I know I just want to look at both sides because I would love it if we had a GameStop employee in our group to say something, but we got to look at it. I do have other people that
Well,
I follow.
before you
who
go
are-
there, if we did we talked, we wouldn't be an employee anymore. I can guarantee you that.
Very true, very true. No, what I'm thinking is that I have other friends that who are either working or they're not, and they're panicking about what they're going to do about making money. So, yes, I totally, from my perspective, there's a couple ways to look at it. Yes, one, great, they're open. If I need a game, I can go get a game. But at the same time, being responsible adult, we're trying to get rid of this virus thing and you shouldn't be out in public. Those type of things we have to think about. But also too, people who need to make money some way, somehow. So maybe they need those employees. Not saying GameStop is thinking of their employees to say, hey, our people need to make some money, so we're going to stay open. I'm sure it's on their
I have a
business
counter
end,
argument
too.
to that, but keep going.
There's a business end to that I'm sure GameStop has where, they're already at the bottom of the barrel and they're going to be lower the way their trajectory is going, and which is why they brought Reggie on, right? So, and the others to try to help with identifying and making suggestions and maybe even identifying a new CEO. Who knows? But overall, one aspect I could think of this, trying to look at the positive side, is that the employees, there's people that can still work and make money and make a paycheck. Whereas if they close doors, they can't they're not going to get paid unless GameStop did something that would help with that, but I don't think they're in a financial situation or position to be able to help their
Yeah,
employees
I
who are
don't
off.
think they're in a financial position to help with that right now. And I think that's
Yeah.
why this has come
Yeah.
out. But Jesse, I'm interested to hear your counter argument here.
All right, so if they were staying open and willing to staff up to help these people who need part-time employment, that might be a plus in their favor. But they're not. They're shrinking hours and reducing staffing, so that's not helping them. What another thing that came out of news from GameStop earlier in the week is corporate is basically washing their hands, pun half intended, of giving the stores what they need to keep the store sanitary. They're letting them figure it out themselves through their local sourcing and expense it. But what the store shelves look like. That's not happening.
Right.
So
Right.
corporate doesn't care about their employees by the sound of that.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the other part of it is that very frankly, GameStop has struggled for a while. They are very dependent right now on the new generation console launches to kind of float them, right, to get them moving forward. And with the idea or the current rumors of obviously the coronavirus potentially having delays in parts or manufacturing, that can push the console launches down the road. And again, that's not confirmed, right? And obviously, I know Xbox came out this week and said, hey, it's going to be in Thanksgiving 2020, but there may end up being shortages as well that may not be able to supply and demand.
And we've already speculated this several weeks ago.
Exactly, right. But so for a company or for an organization that makes a lot of their money on console launches, they can't really. I'm gonna be very straight here. They probably feel like they can't afford to take a knee for a couple of weeks or a month and be successful. To be honest, if GameStop has to close their doors for a month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, that may be the final nail in the coffin for that type of organization.
Yeah, like in my area, I wouldn't be surprised if six stores should close their doors and only 2 reopened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think there's a definite air of we have to do this to survive.
Yeah,
here.
it doesn't look good overall.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it doesn't look good overall, and it's not going to look good overall. Period. In fact, I've got to go, or I'm actually going to send my wife tomorrow to pick up my son's copy of Animal Crossing that he's got paid off there, and that might be it. Like that might be the last time I deal with GameStop.
Yeah, I haven't confirmed him in any areas, any of my locals, but stories I've heard from other people throughout the day is in order to limit the crowds, they allowed people buy Doom a day early.
And then street date for Animal Crossing got broken tonight.
Right. Well, and then because of no midnight release, they let people start buying it at about 9 or 10 o'clock.
I was earlier than that. I
Was
saw like dinner time, 6, 7 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay.
So probably because a lot of them in certain areas felt like they were about to start getting that pressure from places to.
It could be a lot of employees realizing that this is, I don't care anymore. and
yeah, and I want to be very clear here again. We talked about last show. The employees there, they do the absolute best job that they can, I think, right?
Yeah. Definitely. It's the management and the execs that are.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, like, very honestly, they're probably like, I don't really feel like I should be here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I should be at the store. I understand the loss, right? Or I understand the challenge of being exposed because somebody wants a copy of Doom Eternal. Do you know what I mean? Like it just, I struggle with the idea. Like, if we're qualifying GameStop as an essential vehicle, essential store, because it is helps relieve pressure or provides escapism, then there is a lot of other industries that could use that as a title as well.
Are you referring to some paraphernalia?
I am referring to all types of adult entertainment.
So you're thinking more wider spread than I was. But, okay.
I'm thinking could like any. Do you know what I mean? Like come on now, give your head a shake.
Strip clubs. That's what he's talking about, Jesse.
Yeah, I was trying to get be nice about it.
Well, I'm sorry.
Right. So yeah, a tweet I sent out earlier when I heard about this story was, you cannot digitally buy and instantly download toilet paper, food, soap, but you can do that with a game. So even without GameStop, people have ways to get it. They may not like buying things digitally, but it's an option. It's there. There is not going to be a shortage.
Yeah.
Right.
You are not essential.
That's it's unfortunate, and we'll see how it plays out.
I was trying to give him a silver lining, but
But guess what?
You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
In the end, if there's a state that, like California tonight, which is sheltered in place all 40 million residents, guess what? GameStop's closing.
Right.
It's going to happen. There's no way around it. Let's talk a few events, shall we?
Let's do it.
It's been a while since we've had any Pokemon Go talk here on the show. Pokemon Go, like a lot of other things, is making some adjustments to help people in quarantine. And so, Jesse, why don't you tell us about those?
Yeah, so a lot of these started last week, and we just didn't talk about them then. But I figured, it was a good time to talk about it this week. So, if I don't know if you don't know what the incense item is, it basically is an item you can trigger, which attracts Pokemon to you. So you get random spawns at your location that only you see, no one else does. So I don't think they have the way to give them for free. So they put up a one-time purchase in the shop. You can buy 30 instances for 1 coin. And if you don't have 1 coin, even if you've never paid any money, that means you've never put anything in a gym. You put a Pokemon in a gym for 5 minutes, you'll get a coin. So you can get 30 instances for effectively free. They also increased the time effectiveness of an instance. Normally it's 30 minutes. They increased it to an hour. So you can get, probably 55 to 60 Pokemon just you sitting on your couch at home from the effect of an incense. Was that Tim?
No, sorry, nothing.
Okay, and something else that they added is they doubled the effectiveness of incubators, so everything's hatching at half the distance. So 10k egg hatches in 5k, etc. And so I think this was a planned event anyway. I don't think they added this because it's a paid event like the Regigigas event was last fall. They're having a Genesect event, which starts tomorrow, and I think at 8 a.m. your local time, and you have to start it at some point before the 26th at 10 p.m. It costs $7.99 to get access to it. It's got to be paid in your local currency. It cannot be paid with in-game currency. You'll get a group of special research tasks with 5 sets of tasks total, and each one requires you to catch 25 Pokemon of a particular type, and each step is a different type, along with other things like trade with 5 friends or something like that. So and then the final result is a Genesect that you can catch, which is the first time that Pokemon has been in the game.
Okay. Well, so there's something to help bust the boredom while you're sitting around at the house. Speaking of that,
and since you have to capture so many Pokemon, like ultimately 125 Pokemon you'll have to catch to do this. Good thing they gave you all those instances.
That's right. That's right. Speaking of busting boredom, let's talk about what we've been playing.
Do it.
I'm going to start so I can take a quick bathroom break while you guys are talking. Full disclosure here. I've been playing Exit the Gungeon. And if you rewind the podcast, you can hear my thoughts about that earlier on. I like it, but I'm not totally in love with it. But that may change the better I get at it. I sunk some time into it today and actually felt like I got a little bit better. But it does have a very steep learning curve and difficulty level. It's very, very difficult to play. It's not something I would, I would think would be even kid friendly because of that. But
yeah, I saw that video and noped it, Brett.
Yeah, if you like Enter the Gungeon and like the characters and themes from that game, then you would like Exit the Gungeon as well. Probably, I think it's $10 on the eShop right now, which may be an introductory price sale, but it's there. You can go check that out. And then as of tomorrow, I'm going to be playing Animal Crossing. That's all. Who's next?
I'll go, I guess. I don't have much to report on other than I'm trying to finish Luigi's Mansion still. And actually I've actually made it to the 15th floor. I don't know if you can see it because of the glow on there, but the light won't show it. But this is the 15th floor, the last floor, I think. So I just finally, I thought, I was gonna go to, what was it, the 14th floor, but then I got to that point where I think Marty was talking about the cat. The doggone cat stole the 14th floor button, and I was like, oh no, there's the cat that everybody was yelling about.
Where's the cat? Or is it the cat gone cat?
Yes, exactly. So, but I'm excited. I'm at the 15th floor. I wanted to get this done so I can play. There's one game I'm going to be reviewing soon, which is Dead or School, which I have downloaded, and I'll be doing that tomorrow night because I have to kill some time before I do a dinner table with the UK guys there. was gonna say gentlemen, but they probably would say they're not gentlemen. But with the UK guys over there, I have to stay up till at least 1 o'clock in the morning because their daylight savings time hasn't started yet.
Yeah.
So, in order for them to meet, that, I said I would meet anytime they wanted, but they're still willing to get up early and do their thing. So I've got a few UK guys who wanted to do it. So I'm going to do a dinner, I guess breakfast table, if you will.
Yeah. A little bit of bangers and mash, a little bit of a proper English or Irish fry up, depending on who you got with you. It'd be great.
Yes. So I'm going to be trying to do a let's play of the Dead or School game, which Justin, when you sent that video, I went and looked at the video and also read the description. It said hack and slash, and I was like, I'm in. I'll take it. I'll take a look at it. So I'm excited to check that out.
Good.
But then once I get that done, I'm going to be jumping in Animal Crossing.
Tim's keywords.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know.
Hack and slash.
Yeah.
That's what I've been.
Not Picross?
And Asphalt 9, of course, the racing game. Lots of that.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I thought that you're talking about the cat from Luigi's Mansion. I thought that was the worst part of the game.
Yeah. There was so I know you said it was bad, and I think there was somebody else who said it sucked, but I actually didn't think it was that bad. So I guess you guys kind of built it up enough to where it didn't seem as bad to me. Whereas if I didn't know anything about it, I probably would have been angry too. But yeah, I could see why you guys got mad though, because it's like cat has 9 lives essentially, and you got to get each of its 9 tails or its tails or whatever. Cat 9 tails, I guess. But
yeah,
and it goes through the floor a couple times. So you got to go down to each level, and yeah, that was I could see why that would be irritating.
Yeah, it was not good. It was not good. Justin, what you been playing, man?
I have been playing a game called Super Bit Blaster XL, and this just hit the Nintendo Switch eShop on Tuesday. And this is actually from the studio is Nicker Vision Studios. So it's Nick and then ER Vision Studios.
Was that the one where you posted where they were like, we're gonna give away 100 like codes or whatever, and you were like, hey, we'll take one?
Yep, that was exactly it. And I was
awesome.
like, I entered to random. And the reason that this interests me so much, and if we didn't get the code, I was going to just end up picking up anyways. This is from the creator of Ding Dong XL.
Oh, yeah. We should have him on sometime.
I know. I should really set that up, actually. I think he's Canadian, too, because I think the studio's out of Vancouver.
Well, there you go.
And this is a throwback to like the 80s kind of blaster rocket ship games, but it's super addictive. It's got that one more run kind of method. You basically have to shoot and get high scores, leaderboards. But the really cool part is it's also up to 2 players. You can play against each other or co-op as well. And we have a Let's Play or a first look up on our YouTube channel. I had just a ton of fun with it. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes, like I said, sometimes games don't have to be super deep and super like meaningful story or life changing, but sometimes just a lot of good fun. And this is one of those games, and it's a great kind of, I think, escapism of just, hey, I got 32,000 points. Can I get 35,000 points? Let's see what happens. And you can upgrade the ships by buying, like, it's very similar to, hey, you earn coins during each match and 30 coins, so I can cash my 30 coins, and now I get the ship and it has extra bombs or shields are different or extra hearts. So it's an absolute ton of fun. I'm trying to see how much it is on the eShop. Because I already downloaded, I can't see the price on it. Tim, could you grab that for me?
It's normally $3.99 on sale for $2.79.
There you go. $2.79. I will guarantee you're going to get at least $3 of fun with this game for sure. I'd highly recommend it. That game again is Super Bit Blaster XL. It's available now on the Nintendo Switch eShop. Yeah, Marty, I think you'd like this. I think if you take a look at the screenshots, this reminds me of some of the games that you used.
It looked a lot like Astro Duel Deluxe.
Thank you. There was a game. I was like, what was that game that Marty played? I think this would definitely be right up your alley, sir. And again, for $3, well worth your time.
Yeah, awesome. Jesse, what about you?
Yeah, with this crazy week, I haven't had a lot of time to play games. The The only thing I did manage to do is rolled credits on Dragon Quest V: Hand of the Heavenly Bride, which is a DS game that I've talked about last. I don't think I talked about it last week, but the previous 2 weeks I did, and there's still like end game content I want to try to clean up, but I'm not gonna if I can't defeat the super boss, I'm not going to be too worried. I do want to try to finish the collection. There's like a museum. You collect artifacts throughout the game. I want to see if I can at least finish that up as much as I can. So to get the last item, you have to beat the super boss in less than 15 turns. I don't see myself getting that item, but I'll try to at least get the rest of it. And with me not interested in Animal Crossing, next week I'll probably start diving into some of my backlog, which might be looking at Ys 8 again. Give that another try. I might be trying Dragon Quest 2 or 3 since I haven't touched those since I bought them on the
Switch. What about Doom? Why don't you go for Doom
then? You know me in shooters.
Yes, I know.
Jesse, we got a game that actually came in that maybe I'm going to send over to you to take a look at because I think it might be up your alley. Maybe I'll put that in the chat here in a couple moments to take a look at. Right. But I think
I'll have a look.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yep, that's all I got.
Let's shine some light over into the community spotlights.
Shine some light.
So over here at the Community Spotlight this evening, we wanted to highlight a couple of emails and things that we had gotten over the last week and some comments on our Patreon. And so the first one of these comes from the Block Fort, who you guys will know formerly as Cat Janitor or Dan Caparello, one of the hosts of Dad Crossing. And he asked this: would love to get the dad's thoughts on what games to play while quarantined.
Resident Evil.
Yeah.
And we had similar questions by other people too. Mecha Dragon.
Jesus Amada asked that question. Let's see. And Mecha Dragon. Yeah. Lots of people want to know. So come on, guys. No joke. Really one solid recommendation for quarantine.
I wasn't going to say one. I was going to say it's probably going to be different for each person because you could probably really tackle your backlog if you're quarantined,
Yeah.
So it could be any handful of games that people could play or even catch up on. So for me, it's Luigi's Mansion. I'm trying to get that done so that I can move on to do these other games. So
yeah, I mean, I think so. I'll give you kind of some quick answers. I think there's a couple ways of looking at it. When I'm in this situation that we're currently in, something like, again, so Superbit XL or Ding Dong XL or whatever those, like sometimes it's just pure escapism. Do you know what I mean? I just want to just shut my brain off and just have a bit of fun. Doesn't need to be something engaging. I also,
for me,
yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just something just where you shoot, like a Fortnite or an Overwatch or something, just where you can just vent. Do you know what I mean? I myself would avoid, and I joke, but like I'd avoid something like a Resident Evil or Resident Evil 2. I want the opposite of the current conditions would be the way that I would look at it. So like in a lot of ways, we've talked about before why Animal Crossing is such prime right now. Do you know what I mean? Because it is this pure simplified escapism of everything that's out there. And also, I think just like that ability to control. Do you know what I mean? So what I mean by that is like there's so many things in your life that are going poorly for you right now. And I should say poorly, but like are challenging for all of us and are outside of our ability to control. So to find whether it's a comfort food for a game, right? Where maybe it's, for me, it's Super Mario 2. That's a comfort food for me to go back to that feels like, okay, things are going to be okay. Do you know what I mean? Like whatever that respite is for you to find a game that allows for that opportunity. That's kind of what I would say. I don't, again, I think everyone has those own things. I for me, one of the games I keep coming back to is, and it sounds bad. Everyone's like, shut up, Justin. I'm going back to Fortnite. because right now I'm literally connecting with my friend on a voice call, like to play Fortnite together. That's actually how we're connecting right now. That's the phone calls we're having.
Yeah.
That's
That's
our
awesome.
guy. That's our guy time, right? So it's like, okay, we're going to play 90 minutes of Fortnite, and that's my rest, right? Tomorrow night we're going to probably try and do like a Mario Kart tournament at the Masson household, but we're opening it up to all of our friends who are basically isolated at their house. Do you know what I mean? And we're saying, here's the code, jump on. We've got like about 10 or we've got about 12 different friends who have access. They're going to play it. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
how do you bring community digitally around? I think that's something that, you know, to be honest, the four of us or this team of the Nintendo Dads need to talk about is community game night that we used to do right before the show. I think that's become really a lot more important. How do we
Right.
continue to host that? So how do you become a host of that, right? Whether it's getting your friends on Skype, get your friends on Discord, a voice call, a joint call, whatever that is, you know, mom and dad, Animal Crossing on speakerphone, they play across the country, whatever that means, right? Set those things up because I think that's what you need, right? We're already isolated enough. Allow gaming to be that connection virtually that you can do something together. You feel accomplished. Yeah, we got a victory royale. Man, I feel accomplished today, right? That feels awesome. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a good answer because I think you're probably looking for an actual game, right? For me right now, I continue to play Fortnite, playing some Overwatch. We saw the release or the announcement of a new character for Overwatch. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, my
Echo
daughter just came and told me about that one.
looks sick, by the way. But I don't know. They don't have a console date yet for it, so that's a little bothersome to me. But it'll come eventually. But just like
It's going to be different for each person, right? So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm
because
gonna have
whatever game you want to use for that escapism, which I guess I'm plugging my own show, but the dinner table we talked about the last episode, we were talking about the escapism, what games are good for that. It's going to be different for each person.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
also,
games. I'm like I am not a fan of multiplayer games. Just hard couch
Yeah.
or especially online. So you know, if you're someone like me, I'd probably recommend you know if you like RPGs, look into something that's going to take you 100 hours to play through, like Dragon Quest 11. If you have others, you know, like if you have a PlayStation, look at Persona 4, Persona 5. They're
Back at
Fire
some of the
Emblem.
classics like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy II on the SNES Classic. If you have one of those would be excellent. I think two's on there. Maybe it's three.
3.
I can't remember. It's three.
It's 3.
Those are
Wait,
excellent.
it's 6, but it's that
Uh,
one.
But I mean, go back to some of those and sink some significant time.
That backlog.
Yeah, the backlog is that's the real winner of this. That's the real winner answer.
It really is, right? So, you know, for me, I'm still putting away at something like Super Lucky's Tale, right? Oh, you know what? I'm going to go finish a couple more levels in that. Do you know what I mean? Again, I know it's going to be super relaxing, nothing super stressful. Pokemon, do you know what I mean? If you haven't finished that, still put away at some of that, right? Just, again, something that doesn't feel hard, feels like you can get the psychological wins that you need to feel okay, right? And then maybe is an opportunity to join in community. Again, if we're dads, this is a great opportunity, right? If your kids are at home, maybe have a family game night. All right, kids, here are all the games we're going to play that are joint together games, right?
Yeah.
We've got Mario Party, we've got Mario Kart, we've got Overcooked. We've got all these games, right, that
Luigi's
are
Mansion
multiplayer.
just got the DLC out.
That's exactly.
A lot of
Luigi's
that.
Mansion's
Yeah.
DLC is there, right? Or you can play the co-op, right? Like there's so many options that Nintendo has. Pokemon Let's Go, Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu, right? There's so many things, and even if it's a game that's not traditionally a multiplayer couch co-op, you can do that. Pass the controller. We used to all do that as a child, right? So, you know, find an opportunity to allow your family, your community, your people to come together and enjoy some of that escapism. Because guess what? They need it as well.
Yeah.
So a little bit of laughter of getting your butt kicked by a blue shell. You know, like I said, tomorrow night we're doing, as anyone knows, we're doing Doritos and Orange Crush Party. Do you know what I'm saying? We're going back to 1990s and we are doing the old school party multiplayer gaming session. So I'd encourage you to do that.
I love it. Another question here from Shiv UK. Are any of the dads planning on getting PS5 or Xbox Series X? Has the recent news helped you choose which one?
So you go ahead, Tim.
I was gonna just say that for me, I'm already in the PlayStation ecosystem, so Xbox would have to do something really spectacular, and PlayStation would have to do something really spectacular to not want me to get the PlayStation, but the Xbox instead. If I were to switch those ecosystems, because especially with the backwards compatibility, if I get a PlayStation 5 and could play my PlayStation 4 games on it that I haven't played yet or haven't finished yet, I can still, use it to play, then I'm probably going to stick with the PlayStation 5 just from that. And nothing they either one have said yet has really changed my mind. That was something I already thought of before Xbox started talking about their stuff and PlayStation started talking about their stuff. So, like I said, it would have to be really, really huge for Xbox to say, hey, we're going to do this. And I'm going to be like, sold. Like, for example, I can play Nintendo games on an Xbox or something,
Yeah. I'm not going to get either, but that's just because I ain't got time for that. I'm always tempted by Xbox, but I'm going to keep with my Nintendo Switch. So I'm not I'm not supporting either of them.
Yeah, I've been a Nintendo and Sony dual console household since the PS2 GameCube era, and so yeah, I'm in the ecosystem. But on the other hand, I haven't. The last PS4 game I played was Spider-Man, so it's been a while. In fact,
that's a good one though.
It's not even in my house right now. My son's borrowing it. So, so there is. If I do get a PS5, at least I'll have access to my PS4 library that I have digitally. I can just redownload and replay it again if I ever need to. But I don't feel like I need to because again, I gave my PS4 away already. I've never been a fan of Xbox, but at least this generation, I'm not opposed to the idea. If they do something that convinced me to buy it, sure, I'll buy it. But as of now, none of them have talked to me because I don't care about the hardware. I just care about the games, and no one has showed me any games yet.
And
That's right.
yeah,
That's
but
right.
on that same note, is
That's
that
honestly why I'm going to wait a year and see which one has a good sale and which one has the better games, because we've got a PlayStation 4 here. We play it maybe 30% of the time. I'm like Justin. I'm an all Nintendo family, except that my son wanted a PlayStation 4 once, and boom, here we are. But I really I really like the Series One or the Xbox Series X right now, and I can't tell you why, but I think it has more to do with what is offered on Xbox with Game Pass and games with gold and different things like that. But
yeah,
it's very tempting.
Yeah, I mean,
I
show me a reason to buy.
Yeah, I do believe, like, if someone said you're in a situation you have to choose one of these two, do you know what I mean? And or by the way, congratulations, you've won a system for free. Like it's the holiday draw at work, right? And they're like, you won a free system, but you can choose which one, and you have to take one, right? Like, we're not giving you $600, you have to take one. You're not getting Nintendo Switch, like, you have to take one of these two. What are you taking? I'm taking an Xbox. And the reason would be is I find it, I've said it before, I find it fascinating what Xbox is doing right now from a business perspective.
And I think for that Xbox Live that was rumored to come to, Nintendo Switch or, xCloud or whatever, I think that if the Xbox Live was to come to the Switch, that would push me more towards thinking about Xbox, because then I can play on either of those things. So
yeah, 100% agree, right? Like, that would be, be very interesting to live in an environment one day where it's like, oh, here's my Switch, and by the way, why do you have an Xbox controller? Oh, let me tell you about that, right? And oh, by the way, now they're available for also on the cloud, Project X Cloud. Do you know what I mean? Like this, again, I think it's fascinating what they're doing. From a content perspective, I don't know, Halo's always kind of interest me, Gears of War's interest me, but like, that's kind of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the meat and potatoes of it. So
yeah. So, and to give you an idea too on that, why I would be more apt to go with the Xbox if they had some sort of thing going on with Nintendo is I was all in on the PS3, PS4, and PS Vita combination because I could go and play games that were on my main system on my PS Vita. So that was, when someone was on the TV, I could go and play.
Remote play worked when it worked.
Yeah. Yes. and it worked for me very well. I was able to play a few games that way, and I loved it. It was absolutely awesome. So if there was something like that between the xCloud or the Xbox and Nintendo Switch, or even the rumor between the PlayStation doing PlayStation's remote play on a Switch, there was a rumor of that at one time. Those two things might sway me either way. So right now it's still PlayStation because, again, the ecosystem, I could easily replace a PS4 with a PS5 and say, it's an upgrade just like I would with a phone or something,
Yeah. Now that I have a 4K TV behind me, I am looking at upgrading my infrastructure to I now have a 4K compatible HDMI switch. I want to get a 4K recording device so to kind of future-proof myself, because no doubt I will get one of these eventually, and I will want to record or stream or do something with it. And if I do it, I want to do it in 4K. I don't want it to be shrunk down to 1080p and look odd. So I am future-proofing myself to be ready for it, but at this time, I don't know which one I'm going to get.
Gotcha.
It might be both. It might be neither. We don't know.
We'll see. Well, guys, that's been episode 272 of Nintendo Dads. We want to thank you for hanging out with us tonight, and we hope that the show has helped put a little bit of a smile on your face. Yes, Justin?
If you are currently watching us live, I see all the wonderful people over in YouTube right now. Our good friend Nick Metzger right now is over on Twitch, and he is live streaming Animal Crossing.
There you go.
Go show him some love. I am going to drop the link into the chat for you to jump over there, flood his stream, show him some love, maybe just a, thumbs up, way to go, follow, whatever it is. Man, we're so excited for this awesome stuff that's going over there. And those guys who are running the Nintendo, NDads Crossing podcast are doing a great job. Guys, today it's Animal Crossing. It's live. It's good to go. We're excited to be there as well. So thanks very much for that.
Actually, before we wrap up, there's one more email that I think Marty might have a good answer to. So I'll go ahead and read that.
I emailed this guy personally.
Okay.
Oh,
so
did you?
Yeah. From it was Paul from Sydney.
Yes.
Yeah, I emailed Paul today.
Okay, perfect.
Because we've discussed that topic. It's the topic of how to get your games from your Switch to your Switch Lite. We've discussed that a lot on the show, so I just went ahead and emailed him.
That sounds fair.
Thanks, Marty.
So guys, again, that's been episode 272. As we close out the show, we want to say a huge thanks to our Patreon producers. That's Chris Mears, Dave Ernsberger, Sean Abbott, and Antonio Contronio. Thank you guys for being a part of the $30 level there. And remember, for April and May, there is no charge to be a patron of Nintendo Dads. So if you're on the fence, you can head over there right now and you can jump in for free and get a 2-month trial run and see what that is like. You can also check us out at nintendodads.org for all of our social media, all of the videos and tweets and podcasts, even a merch store where you can buy some Nintendo Dads stuff. And you can find us on most places just by typing in Nintendo Dads, like Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. Just type in Nintendo Dads, boom, will pop up right there. You can email us at nintendodads.org, nintendodads@gmail.com, or you can call in and leave a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. I want to say a big thanks to OC Remix for the music used throughout the show, and remind you, download this podcast from your favorite podcast app of choice, but don't forget, give us a 5-star review and some written words to help other people find the show. Spread the good news about all that's going on over here at Nintendo Dads. For me, for Tim, for Justin, and Jesse, this has been episode 272. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Maple syrup mooses.